What's up, AFTERBUZZers? Welcome to the Deception After Show. It's amazing. This episode 5, masking. Tonight we're going to be talking about graffiti. We're going to be talking about churches, and we're going to be talking about prison brawls. So stay tuned. That's coming up for you next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
The music from this show is always so cool and so rock and roll, so I love it. All right, you guys, what's up, AFTERBUZZers? Welcome to the Deception After Show. My name is Erika Edwards, and we're going to get into this episode 5, masking tonight, but I couldn't do it without my girls. So, ladies, introduce yourselves.
Hey, guys, I'm Chae Jones.
And I'm Cherry Davis.
All right, you guys, this episode was amazing, and we have so many great things for you tonight. We have our Behind the Magic special segment, and we have some news and gossip on our people, so we're gonna get right into it. The theme of this episode is masking and kind of hiding things right there for you in plain sight. So an overview of this episode, we have graffiti artists that are we have graffiti artists, and they're doing these paintings, across the city, and the church window gets stolen. People are stealing, robberies are getting done. And so Kay and Cameron get into it. Overall, I think this is my favorite episode so far this season. I really enjoyed it. And what did you guys think?
I loved it. I love magic. I really just think magic is awesome. The fact that they actually add in graffiti and the differences of graffiti and how you can hide things, like you said, hiding things in plain sight. I find that fascinating. So I just loved how they try to figure out how all these images created one big message for the next job. Like, I love that.
I'm really enjoying getting to know their background a lot more, Cameron and Jonathan, who I assumed had grown up middle classy or whatever, and now it feels like they did not grow up. It feels like they had to hard scrabble and fight a lot.
Exactly. So in the beginning of this episode, we're introduced to this graffiti artist, Bishop, and he's going around the city doing these magnificent, sort of magical feats with graffiti. And just as he's doing these things, these robberies occur. And so they, immediately... because actually Kay was there with Cameron, and then they're like, okay, let's go watch the graffiti artist, and then the next thing you know, the church window is stolen. How do you guys feel about sort of the whole Kay and Cameron interaction as they try to uncode the graffiti mystery?
I enjoyed it because I feel like obviously nothing's going to happen within this season, but it's also like planting the seeds. Like, there is chemistry there, even though it's, like, very underlining. And I actually enjoy that, because they're going to just focus on finding MW and who this MW is. First of all, her eyes are just amazing regardless.
Right.
Like, they're flawless.
Right. And just to clarify, you guys, MW is Kay's professional name for mystery woman, the blue-eyed, brown-eyed chick, and from the first episode. And so... what was interesting, I found, was Cameron, when they go to see Bishop do his work, he calls Jonathan, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm out here, and I'm watching this, and there was a really good interaction, I think, between Jonathan and Cameron in that scene, because Jonathan is like, dude, I'm in prison. Why are you calling me to tell me how great your life is while I'm in prison? And so that was kind of an interesting moment, because I think that's where Cameron really kind of like checked himself. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Because sometimes Cameron is a little bit like, oh yeah, let me just pop in and see what you think about what's going on, and we're gonna chit chat about the case, and then I'm gonna leave and go kick it, and you're gonna go back to prison. So, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was a major reminder, because Cameron is like going on about doing Cameron business, and Jonathan's trying to survive, and really Cameron asking Jonathan for a favor is what is sort of causing a lot of problems for him in prison. And so Cameron really needs to focus. At the very minimum, get his brother into minimum security or in a safer prison area or something. I don't know. I've never been to prison, so I don't know what you call the sections, but something.
C block, D block.
Well, I think all blocks are slightly unsafe. But that being said, I think this whole episode really got Cameron in check. And to me, because I think it's the whole idea of the prison, except for obviously we all know the evil black man. Outside of him, they've made the prison kind of seem light, to be honest. Because the whole thing, I'm not really clear on how Jonathan and Cameron just magically always catch each other on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, oh, this is Jonathan. Let me just call Jonathan. Like, no, they have cards and whatever. It's not quite as easy as it looks. But hey, in this particular New York City, it's a breeze. And so that is always interesting. And so what's interesting I found about this episode is they do talk a lot about hiding things in plain sight. And, I think in the beginning, in the voiceover section, Cameron says, the things that matter most are the things that are right in front of you. And those are the things you really have to pay attention to in your life. And so he and Kay are trying to decipher, all these robberies that coincide with this graffiti artist, Bishop, that, they're a huge fan of. And they're starting now to see that perhaps because Bishop sort of came off as a Robin Hood graffiti artist for the people, like, I guess, in his heyday. Because now, this is another thing that's interesting, is, now he's basically an old man graffiti artist because he's been doing this for like 15 to 20 years, which I am not hating on it. Because, like, living in LA, you do see these, like, older people still doing young stuff. Like, I see like really balding men on like skateboards all the time. So I think it's still a similar thing. You hang off the wall and you're doing graffiti even though you're 42. So they're seeing that he's kind of changing his political position and now is turning over to this life of crime. And so Jonathan, of course, knowing all things graffiti, as Jonathan and Cameron both do, they go and they see Switch, which is sort of his Bishop's graffiti battle person. So back in the day, like battle rappers, we had battle graffiti artists, and Bishop and Switch used to battle each other. So they go there to interview him, and I found this witness interview a little different than the others we've seen thus far. What did you guys think?
First, that was Billy Zane, and I love Billy Zane.
Super cool.
So cool. And I loved how he was, the characters portraying was like, screw this, I'm selling out, give me some cash. It was definitely a lot more back and forth because it felt like he was just as sneaky and he was onto his game. So sorry, excuse me.
No worries.
But I think the interview with that was really good because he was holding his own. He was very aware of what he was saying and what he didn't want to reveal and what he did want to reveal to sort of steer them in the wrong direction.
Exactly.
And I have to give him props for faking his own death. I give props for that real quickly. Just, oh, yeah, I don't know about Bishop, but, I mean, if you want to buy my cookbook, there you go. Have a nice day, guys. And now I'm King Snitch, and now my shop blows up. And now I'm dead.
True. Now, two things about this scene that I found interesting was I'm not sure what they're doing with Kay because Snitch was clearly flirting with her and she just like didn't even really shut it down. It's like she didn't even realize it. I don't know. So I'm like, Kay, even if you're a lesbian girl, I'm going to need you to get some before the series is over or at least act like you are, I think I want her to have some sort of love interest somewhere. So hopefully she will because she seems to be immune to, certainly King Switch's flirtations.
That was some weak flirtation regardless. Like that's like something I'm rolling my eyes at.
Regardless, I mean, either shut it down or not, but it did happen.
Okay. He doesn't have to do much.
She could have said something. She could have rolled her eyes. She could have done something like she heard it, which I was like, okay, now you're acting like you just are above it. So I found that interesting. And what was interesting for me was I knew from the beginning that he wasn't dead. And I was that scene was okay, but to me kind of like a little disappointing because I was like, I'm sorry, Kay, but you did this in the first episode. So the magic blow up, we can't find the body routine. I have actually seen before. And then to be weird, but to be honest with you, like it was something about the smoke at the end. I was like, it's not purple this time, but it still looks weird. And I think it's fake. Okay. And then it's like, well, you know, his body wasn't found and it's, you know, the heat was so high or whatever. So I was like, yeah, so yeah, we'll see King switch later in the episode, which obviously we do. So that part, I was like, okay, moving right along. But what did you guys think? Like, did you really think he was dead? Like, did you buy that?
I wanted more Billy Zane. That was like part of my excitement to have him on. I was hoping he'd be a good guy and just really be in the episode. And the way they killed him, even if you're in a fire, it's very rare that your entire body is going to just disintegrate.
Right. I was like,
it's like that doesn't happen. There's always
really,
bone
like
or
no
teeth
bone,
or
no
something.
tooth, no ring, nada. Okay. Yeah. I
And
agree.
you know
I
he
mean,
won't
some
want to burn up all
explosions,
his stuff.
like some explosions can, like, where there is no evidence, there is no body residue, whatever you want to call it. Like,
But for that, it would have to be a really big, hot explosion.
Yeah, not
And it
like,
wasn't.
yeah.
That
Come
was
on.
like
That was
very-
not,
it was
even the
just in that one
plane didn't
building.
disintegrate
Yeah.
people's bones. Or, you know, yeah. I agree with you. Not saying it can't ever happen. It does, certainly. But in this instance,
It
this
would
was
have
just a
been-
regular blow
The
up.
entire block would have had to blow up for everything. It was just
Yeah.
his one little shop. You know, before it blew up, he was like, "Get my stuff out so we can sell it
I
for
know,
collector's
exactly,
items."
exactly.
Hey.
And I mean, and the way they set the whole thing up, yeah, he threatened my life, and this other person went missing. Boom. Okay. I was like, alrighty then. But that does get us into high gear to look for Bishop because now, in Kay's mind, because Kay doesn't remember the first episode, apparently, she thinks that, you know, Bishop is a murderer. So we see, you know, Kay and Cameron, and they're trying to kind of really decipher where the next, you know, how they're going to find Bishop and where they're going to get their next clue as to where the next robbery is going to take place.
I love the scene between Johnny and Gunter. I mean, Jordan and Gunter, like them two together is magic for me. Like, seriously, like, dude, you're so old. Why you have to use like what is this? What is that even? Like, I don't understand.
Right. And what I really like as well is the Jonathan Cameron interaction. So I like the scene where Jonathan is like, okay, although, you know, we know, Jonathan, this is how you get down. So Jonathan is the one who's like, oh my gosh, look at all these pictures. There's a code. And so then we see the team come together to decipher the code. And yeah, it's like, and I agree with you. I love Jordan Gunther, the old school versus new school. And they usually always kind of come together and mesh them. And, you know, and they discover all these secret logs equals a calendar, and the bad is the time. And Cameron comes in and he's like, oh, it's the shadow. And my confusion, like, I went through this episode 3 times because I kept going back and I was like, okay. So, like, because my understanding is they paint the guy who paints it is a distraction, and the people who are doing the robbery are supposed to get the clues from looking at it. So I was confused at the end. Like, if you're outside watching it to go rob something, how are you seeing the shadow without the technology? I didn't really get the whole action, but I was like, okay, Erika, maybe just go with it, girl. So maybe you all, being the bright magicistas here, magicistas, queen of magic, how did you all find their, like, decoding of everything?
I think a scene got not put into the episode.
I do too. I was like, they cut something because I was like, I kept rewinding, like, wait, okay, he rips it in half, and we're talking about shadows. I was like, I'm confused.
Well, for me, I feel like, okay, so when I was looking at the witch one, I was like, I kept thinking of either, I always forget Hamlet and Beth mixed up with the witches. But obviously this is a nighttime thing, so it's going to, like, whatever the next thing he paints is going to be at night. But that was just also because they came at Hamlet or Macbeth at night, so that was the only decoding I did.
And I was like, okay, logs, equal calendar, I'll go with it. Fine, yeah.
But, like, I thought it was, like, ask, maybe like I actually think if something got lost in translation. However, they got to the situation, they figured it out. 8 p.m. Rockefeller Center. Bishop was painting some painting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it was interesting because as he's painting the painting, you know, the FBI, they're down there, and then a house gets robbed for like this watch. It's like this $2,000 watch. And this is another thing about this scene that was about this whole episode was like they were just stealing random things. And you're like, okay, what does this stained glass window have to do with this cheap, well, not so cheap, but cheap for them type watch? And where are we going with this? And so just as that, you know, they catch the painter, and it turns out it's this young kid, because again, that's the whole thing about the age gap. Because I was like, is this really somebody 43 hanging on his wall? And the answer was no. It was not. It was this young graffiti artist named Mecca. So they take Mecca back and they're questioning him, but he's not going to give up on his boy. And so again, the team comes in and they're like, okay, we're going to scare you a little bit and make you think that Bishop is coming after you. And so they, you know, they do the whole painting. What did you guys think about how they get this witness to confess?
That was interesting, but if someone was threatening my life, I'd just bounce. I'd be like, you know what, I'm out for a couple of weeks. Because they don't stay in any town, so he knows he doesn't stay in any town. So I'd just be like, you know what, I'm just out for the rest of the month. But, you know, I'll just Airbnb this. So, you know,
I know, exactly.
I'm done for a couple of
What did you
weeks.
think, Chae?
I was like, legit, if you really think the quickest way to get somebody to turn is to think that the person that you're working for wants you dead. That's the quickest thing to get mouths to loosen. So I was like, yep, that's the way you go. That's how you get it done within an hour. Show, go ahead.
You're right, and that's cool. And actually, but I'm not gonna lie. Like me personally, I mean, can you imagine you come home and it's a picture of you on a wall with blood coming down your face? And I'd be like, okay, first of all, could you just slide something under my door? I do not want this like all out in the open. But that's how graffiti artists get down. So, you know, so Mecca, and it's so interesting because each episode, I think, one of the things that Deception is really driving home to criminals is that your people don't really support you, okay? Because every episode, someone's sidekick, number 2 man or whatever, turns them in every single time. Like, so Mecca, like, he's like, I just need to see one painting and I'm gonna tell you what the deal is. So he goes back and he like reveals, okay, these are how I realized I was being used. And I was like, yeah, Mecca, he was using you, you know, cover yourself to make sure you're safe. And so the next thing he's supposed to paint is his own work or his own signature, which I thought was so interesting. Like you were saying about the whole dynamics of graffiti and how it's more than just like, you know, F you on a train, you know what I'm saying? It's like really an art making a statement. And as every artist has their signature that they put on their paintings. And so now, again, we get to see Cameron do his impersonation thing. And I kind of love the whole tagging scene. And I loved how they use the dramatics and the theatrics of it to kind of show you how graffiti and magicians kind of similarly do things, and it's not all just about what you do, it's about the show.
It is.
Sure.
And it feels like some of these sidekicks need some life coaching, like some serious life coaching. So it's like they want to have fun, learn, and grow in all areas of their lives. And for those who do, who are not criminals, we have the podcast for them. It's Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. It's hosted by our AFTERBUZZ TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of your life. From health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more, let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free.
Yes.
Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who sent you there.
The Deception panel, people, that's who we are.
Conversations with Maria Menounos podcast edition. Check it out.
Yay. I'm
Check it
excited.
out.
I'm totally subscribed. I think Maria is amazing, and she's such an inspiration.
She is.
And she looks so good, and I am trying to get skinny. So I am there doing big things. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. So Mecca turned, and we see Cameron. What's funny about Cameron too is I'm like, Cameron, you not in prison, so you might need to go to the gym.
Yes.
So this scene was so
kind of me.
Was so crazy. Like, he looks amazing, but I was like, you are huffing and puffing, dude. And so
He's out of practice. Let him have his
he's out of
time.
practice.
barely
He's
keep
kind
up
of
with
out
them.
of shape, but
Yeah.
I'm glad he was okay. So the group, you know, he has to. They come up with a way. This like Gunther comes up with a way for him to be able to reveal the actual signature, because Cameron can't draw apparently.
Not like that.
Yeah, and so that was so cool because Cameron was like doing his magic thing and in his element for that particular part. So I loved that scene. I thought that was so cool, and especially when he took the lighter with his picture on it and
his name.
Right, because I was like, do these people realize that, you know, like, I don't know what happens when you set paint on fire, but I assume it doesn't come out red probably. But that's the thing. Criminals are not that bright. So I thought that part was super cool. I
That
loved
was
that.
so cool. That was
So
so cool.
awesome.
I've rewatched it, and I watched it on their Twitter page because it was just so fun. I loved the big reveal, and they were like, "Don't let them get too close. Don't get them too close." And I was like, "Dude, y'all need to say, don't let them see your face on the lighter. Don't."
Right, exactly. Because we're like, we don't think Mecca has lighters with his face on it. So don't let him see that. Don't let him catch the pin with your face on it either. We're just going to give you that heads up.
That little heads up. But that was funny, especially in the when she was like, "Good luck." It's like, no,
Don't say that.
don't say that.
There's just like certain words you don't say in the entertainment industry. Like for dancers, you say break a leg. For actors, you say break a leg too. You
say
don't
break
say
a leg
good.
too.
You never
You
say
never say
good.
good luck.
You never say good luck. That is bad luck. So giving you a history lesson on artistry, entertainment here. Call signs. Don't say good luck. That's like
Yeah,
a kiss of
yeah.
death. Something is bound to go
Yeah.
wrong.
Unless you really want her to bomb so you can get that part, then yeah, do that all day.
He really needed to work on his core because he barely pulled himself.
Oh my
up
gosh.
off
So
the-
they're running, they're like, so the young graffiti artist gang or whatever, clearly in their 20s, they're like running and jumping
Parkouring the hell out of
parkour.
it.
Yeah, they're like jumping buildings and stuff. And Cameron is
Flipping.
like, and they're like doing somersaults and everything. And Cameron is like just dragging along, huffing and puffing. And I'm like, personally, I think Buff Jonathan would have been able to do this scene. But okay, whatever, Cameron. So Cameron is huffing and puffing. And so then there's the final scene where he has to jump from one building to the other. And I would have been like, look, they got away.
I was just like, he needed more.
I'm
He
out.
needed more running. He needed to get back a little bit farther if he was gonna make that. Because he stayed where he was. I'm like, no, you. That's like
He
you
went
need.
back
You need
a little bit.
No, you need a little bit more running.
No,
start
first
when
of
you down out
all,
of
first
shape.
of all, if you know you out of shape, like in some things you just gotta let go. And I would just have been like, I'm not sure because the FBI couldn't find him. They run around their little truck. They don't know where he is. And I was like, yeah, there's concrete under there. So I would have been like, they're gone. And so, but that's why I'm in the after show and Cameron is on the actual show. Because Cameron was like, no. One thing I did like about this scene was I thought the way it was written was really written well because Jordan and Gunther were like, no, he ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. And then Dina's like, okay, you guys, you're getting off the radio. But
You're not
I
allowed to be
thought,
here.
in my heart, I honestly thought that was all a performance to motivate Cameron, which it did. So he jumped and he did, instead of falling off the building, because that's what was going to happen, he, that kind of really egged him on and pushed him on. So that, I thought that was like so well written, that particular scene. It was very funny, but I was like, dude, do some sit-ups. But outside of that,
Get
it
on the
was
treadmill.
it was
Crunches.
thank you. Crunches, some treadmill, do some long jumps, something. But I did like that his team kind of used sort of reverse psychology to get him over that wall. So I loved that part.
They have such a family boy dynamic where they are playing and pushing and everything else. I love the chemistry between the boys.
Yes.
It's really funny.
Definitely. Even Jordan's like, Kim, I got this. Like, chill back, old man. Like, he didn't say it, but, like, obviously he was thinking that, too, because he's obviously the youngest. It's just like, no, dude, I got this. Like, don't derip nothing. I got you. I handle it. Like, I loved it.
Yes, I love that.
That was hilarious.
I love that as well. And so, so Cameron gets in with the gang. And so finally there's the big, they're like, okay, this is going to be our last robbery, our last job or whatever. So now we got to reveal our masks, okay? And lo and behold, I guess somebody was shocked. I was not, but I'm sure you all were, I guess. Here is King Switch. And he's like, hey, Cameron, I'm not dead. It wasn't me in that extremely black smoke. So, what did you guys think King Switch was going to be there or not? I knew it, but what did you guys think?
Again, Jonathan is the smart twin. Cameron's a pretty twin, I guess.
I feel like they treating us all like that pretty twin, okay? Not just Cameron. Like, that's all of us.
I feel like both Cameron and Jonathan are smart. They're like, but there are also different kinds of smart. Like, and like that's also something we should also acknowledge. There are different kinds of smart. Like, Cameron is smart in his own way, but he's also a very optimistic, rose gold, glass half full type of person. And like, but that's also his personality. So sometimes your personality affects your intellectual knowledge at that point. Because no, don't you get serious.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna go along with you on this.
Your team.
But there are seriously like different kinds of smart. Like, there really just is. There is more than just one type of smart. And I will legit go to Google and pull it up for you if we need be.
Okay, I'm gonna put this out here just because something's on Google don't make it true. But
that is true, but that does not mean I'm wrong.
I'm not saying that you're wrong at all, dear, because you're right. There is book sense and common sense. Okay, I will say that, and there's street smarts and there's like book smarts. I will say all of that.
Yes.
Now, as for what Cameron has, what I would say, to me, the difference is Jonathan is the smart. He can read the puzzles. He can read the signs. Cameron is the show. Like, it's the actress and it's somebody who wrote the script, right? It's a different talent. I would say that. But, I'm not saying Cameron's not smart. I'm not gonna say that because that would be wrong.
Choosing the words, that would be wrong. That would be untrue. That's what she should have said. Like,
right. And I specifically did not use those words, so that would be untrue. But
Cameron's a showman. And Jonathan's the one who'd be running the magic show, like more the business behind the scenes.
So like Cameron sees more of the big picture. He sees more of the big picture, but not all the pieces in the big picture. I feel like that's what Cameron is.
To me, Cameron does the theatrics like he did, waving his arms around, but somebody else has to figure out how to do the actual dynamics and the engineering behind a trick.
Yes.
That's how I feel like they balance each other out. And Cameron does have a pretty good memory. He remembers a lot of stuff. So I give him credit for that. I do. I'm a Jonathan. I'm Team Jonathan. I'm going to admit that today. So it's a big reveal. And now this is my favorite scene in the whole episode. So on Jonathan's side, this is the first time when we really get to see, we're getting more and more
Dark Johnny.
No, not just Dark Johnny, but we're seeing more and more of what Jonathan is going through in prison, which I think kind of brings a realism to the show. So the mean black man comes back and, he's like, well, you ain't got to worry about me, but you got to worry about them. And so there's this scene where Jonathan is getting jumped, and the way it's filmed, like,
he's not getting jumped. That's a one person. That's not a jump. That's
first of all,
he had a weapon.
Here was the thing I saw was the whole point was, or the way I saw it was that one man was beating him, but the other man was holding the guards back because at one point
he was just distracting.
At one point, Jonathan notices like, yeah, they're about to get me, and so as he's fighting that man, is the same time Cameron is fighting the graffiti people. And so they kind of cut the shots really, really well right there. And that was like really my favorite scene of this episode.
It was really good because it reveals how Jonathan plans on navigating prison life, which is he doesn't seem to be all that worried about having any allies. He's like, I can do this by myself. And he made an example that he would fight and beat the holy crap out of you. Because he beats
and then
the guy
take their
up,
Snickers.
And then he like sits down like, yeah, what?
I got the
Mic drop.
Snickers. Nobody had to give it to me. Thank you so much.
Okay, see, and I took that differently, but before we get to that, so I took that totally differently. Like, to me, I felt like until that point, Jonathan was like, I need no one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when he's fighting the guy, the biggest thing in prison, I've seen my fair share of prison shows, is that you do have to take down the biggest person there to get people not to mess with you. So, and I think there is this sort of thing where, depending on the situation, is it going to be fair? Are we all going to jump the person? Or are we going to let these people fight? That's one thing. And I took, and we'll see this, because I guess we'll do this in our predictions. No, I'll do it in my predictions. I'm going to save it. Because we got some predictions coming up. Thank you. I'm going to save it for my predictions. So stay tuned, people, because that's coming up. And all right. So to close things out, so the thing with Switch is holding a gun on him, and he kind of like starts going through a new philosophy. And it turns out, okay, Switch is Bishop and Bishop is Switch, and he's changed his philosophy, but now he's been shown something new. So clearly he's kind of hooking into someone. He's like, I stole all these random items that I'm now going to return. Okay. And we don't really know. We're kind of left wondering, like, what is going on here?
He feels like he's an anarchist. Before he was anti-establishment. Now he's an anarchist where he wants to break down the walls and the barriers and change how everyone thinks. And that big reveal he did, it feels to me not like he's part of a cult, but almost like he had an epiphany where he realizes he's still the Robin Hood, stealing from the rich and giving back to the poor, but now it's on a more global level.
Right.
And there's not him by himself, there's a team, and I feel that he's going to team up with you-know-who.
MW. Okay.
Definitely him being shown the light. I legit would have loved to been a fly on the wall in that conversation to figure out like what was said to get him to like just switch it up. Haha, switch it up.
Yeah, King Switch, we got you, girl.
But I enjoyed it. What I also loved about this episode, like I got my question answered about Dina and Johnny. Like I really felt like vindicated. I'm just like, okay, so he broke your heart. And like I'm not Cameron, so you don't have to lie to me. Like she's like the older sister, like mother hen, love interest type, and she's just like, look, you can do as much lying you want to your brother. That don't fly with me.
Yeah.
I appreciated that because he's like, okay, like obviously you've been with us for years and years, so you know when I'm lying. I think that was the one person he can really be genuine with. Like he'll get to genuine with Cameron, but it takes him a while to like be like. Obviously, I'm not okay. I'm in prison. But with Dina, it was like instant, like, dude, like, yeah, like, this is the one person you can drop your walls with. Even though, like, I legit can't wait for him to actually get out and that whole Mike, Dina, Johnny triangle to hit up because it's going to be lit.
It's going to be a quad. It's going to be 4 all vying for her. Because I think that
we'll save something for predictions if that's what you're about to do. Just letting you know. So I loved the scene with Dina, and it was interesting. They ended the episode bringing back the mystery woman. So they go, and there's this graffiti painting of the blue-eyed, brown-eyed, her eyes at least. And so now we do officially know that she's linked with Bishop. And so this kind of episode, Bishop gets away, and so you're kind of left like, boom, what's going on? Kind of the cliffhanger because because they're not airing this weekend. So it's kind of like to keep us on the edge of our seats, which was actually a pretty good closer to it. Because I mean, I agree. We discussed this earlier. I mean, I like that little after party they do every episode, but I did not miss it either. So, so Jonathan finally starts to feel like Cameron is actually doing something to help him out there outside of like just kicking it. And so we're left kind of really wondering, how is this woman tied to them? And what's interesting is Cameron closes it with, is not just about me and you, it's about something bigger. So I'm like, did you get that from the photo, from the picture? Like, how do you know? Like, how do you really know? But, you know, whatever, we will see.
And the fact that the year 1913 is somehow important. So that's interesting as well. Like, I think it's definitely linked to their past-ish. Like,
yeah, but clearly they weren't around in 1913. So how is that linked? Maybe that's Houdini's niece or something. I don't know.
Well, Houdini made his first appearance in 1918. So the only thing I could find about 1913 that happened was Paul Emile Chavez did a painting of September Mom, which provoked a change of indecency when displayed at the Chicago Art Gallery. So indecency-ish, if that's going to be applied, or I don't know, but that's all I got.
Yeah, so I don't know. We're going to get back to you guys on that. But, so yeah, that was this was like my favorite episode so far, to be honest. I mean, even though there were a few things where I was like, yeah, we did this in episode 1. Mostly, I just really feel the Jonathan segments add so much to the show.
Yes.
Because, like, I love the magic, but I like something to be realistic too, and so I think that just adds a great balance, and I'm really enjoying that. So we're gonna do some news and gossip, people.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, you guys. So the news that I have for me, I found that if you want to see more of Vinnie Jones, he does like music videos for these like British rock groups like all the time. So he plays a lovesick boss in a new pop music video for the band The 27. Tell Me music video. So check it out because he's amazing, even in all these music videos, because he's a wonderful, wonderful actor. And we do have some photos for you as well. I think, if we can pull one up for me. Okay, and then
well, if you are in Boston and you want to go to that college, aka Harvard, David Kwong is going to be speaking on April 19th from 4:15 to 6 p.m. Tickets are free, and you can get the information on his Twitter account, David Kwong.
Okay, so now Justin Chan, who plays Jordan on our show, he was out and about with his like baby girl, looking like a full-grown man right here.
He's a man.
So cute.
He looks like, oh my gosh. And I think we still don't know his daughter's name, but like this photo is to die for. Like, she is so cute. She's like, really, can we leave? But super, super cute. We love everything Justin does, and hopefully we'll get him in sometime soon. Also want to let you guys know that we don't shoot, there's no show this weekend, so we're not here next week. But on April 25th, we have the executive producer, Chris Fedek is how I believe you pronounce his last name, but I will know before we get back here for sure. He is the showrunner, so I'm so excited to have him. It's like such a great thing. And that week we'll be doing 2 episodes because there's an episode on Sunday and there's also an episode on Tuesday. So when we get here, we're gonna go hard on both episodes. And who can really give you this scoop but the person who came up with this idea? So he will be here.
Also, history lesson for you guys about graffiti. So graffiti is referred to as inscriptions and figure drawings from basically in the catacombs of Rome and Pompeii. And actually they used to think that graffiti back in the day was how people used to find prostitutes. Oh. So graffiti is the first known example of modern style graffiti. Survives in the ancient Greek city of Ephesus, which is now modern-day Turkey. Local guides say it had an advertisement for prostitution. Located near a mosaic and stone walkway, the graffiti shows a handprint that vaguely resembles a heart, along with a footprint and a number and a carved image of a woman's head. This is believed to be to indicate that a brothel was nearby with the handprint and symbolizing payment.
Okay, and then another thing as part of our Behind the Magic segment, since everything this episode or a lot was about encryption, we looked up a Caesar cipher, which is an encryption code that's used where you replace the letters with basically you kind of slide the alphabet down. So you'll have a number position, like maybe it'll slide down 3, and so A would be like C or whatever. Anyway, it's a thing, and it was originally invented, it's called the Caesar cipher, because Julius Caesar used it in his personal correspondence, I'm sure about Cleopatra and everything. So that is Marvy. And so before we get out of here, because let's do some predictions, people.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, let you guys go first. Hit it.
I am thinking that the mystery woman, it's going to be revealed that this plot against them has been a long time coming. And I'm hoping that Bishop Switch will come back again. I think he added a lot to it. And I think it's going to be a 4-way love affair between Cameron, Jonathan, Dinah, and Mike. So I guess that would be a quadruple?
Okay.
Single? I don't know. I'm not mad.
Yes. Go ahead.
Quadruple.
Quadruple.
Yeah.
For me, my prediction is that the mystery woman. I really just think it's like if we're going by what you said, it's definitely been a long deception, a longest con in its epic proportions, and it's been just building and building to now. And this, I really want to know what was about this moment that they just decided, I'm going to get you for whatever you did in the past or whatever your father did in the past.
Right.
I'm really interested in that intricateness. I definitely want to see more Johnny in jail and see how he's like, now that he beat the biggest dog-ish, if Winslow's going to leave him alone or if he's not going to leave him alone. I was like, no, I still need you in my crew. Like, you need to be a part of it.
Okay. So for me, my prediction is the opposite. I felt like that's the same Snickers bar from Winslow. And I think that now he realizes, because he really can't live like this, he's going to have to sleep, that you can't be in jail without a posse. And now he is going to, I think that was his way of saying, okay, I'm going to be part of your gang. And so I think he's actually going to be in Winslow's gang. And I think what's going to come up is it's always going to come down to kind of like similar in other shows like Orange is the New Black or whatever. When you have a short amount of time, what crimes do you do while you're actually in there? So I think it's going to become an issue of can Jonathan stay clean and be a part of this gang, but not really do anything in enough time for Cameron to get him out.
Or about what skills he'll pick up because he is in prison. Because most people who go to jail pick up new tricks. Like if you, like, no, seriously, if you're a pickpocket, you learn how to safe crack.
Right. So clearly he will probably be an even better magician. But the question is, can he get away with murder before Cameron can get him out? So those would be my predictions, you guys. But thank you so much for joining us here at the Deception After Show. So make sure you like, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes because the podcast is amazing. Give us 5 stars, comment. If we did something you didn't like, let us know because I will respond. And comment, like, give us a thumbs up because you've been here for this whole time. Why not do it now? And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Erika Edwards, and you can follow me on all of my social media at Erika, Erika, D as in door, Edwards.
Hey guys, you can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on Rise. And guys, next Wednesday is the season finale of Black Lightning, and you have to tune in.
This is Cherry. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Cherry_LA.
All right, you guys, we're going to be back here, same place, same time, on April 25th with the executive producer of this show, Deception. So come on out, join us then. See you guys then. Ciao for now, folks.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.